What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back to another live stream, another post game live stream. Man, what a finish! What a finish! What a finish! What a finish! Let me get my connection going here. Let's see. Okay, okay. Damn, he said, hurry up, guy. We got a lot to talk about. Man, what a finish! What a finish! What we can chalk this up to is Justin Herbert. Honestly, this was a Justin Herbert game. Um, I don't know. I really don't know what else to say. I can't explain what else went on during the game. I can't explain what went on offensively, defensively. Um, man, man, that was something else. That was something else. That was Herbert magic. That was Herbert magic, though. Definitely Herbert magic. You look at it, that's clutch. Clutch. It's clutch, and you cannot. There's nothing you can teach there. You can't teach anything. You can't teach Justin Herbert to be that way. You can't teach him to be as poised as he was all game long. Um, the the one thing that I looked at during the game when shit was going wrong, defense playing awful. That was one of the more awful defensive performances that I've seen from the Chargers against a very, very mediocre, too bad Cardinals offense. That was not a good offense at all. Uh, Kyler Murray's first game back, he did not look great. He was out of sync, out of rhythm with his receivers. But you got to credit Justin Herbert. You obviously have to credit Justin Herbert. He was looking at 5 and 6 square in the eye. Everybody talking shit, the Emmanuel Achos of the world, getting online talking about how unclutch he is. Just put together a great drive. The pressure was there too. The pocket was breaking down. The offensive line has been pretty bad in the past 2 games, but he stepped up, and man, it really just it was incredible. It really was incredible. That's Justin Herbert right there. For all the people who are talking about this is Herbert's fault and the Chargers offensively was Herbert's fault. No, it's not, and he showed you right there when it's time to go ahead, or when it's time to score a touchdown, when it's time to get in to winning position, he does it. And you got to think about it. He did this again. He did this again this week, right? He also did it last week. You got to remember against the Chiefs. He did it again against the Chiefs last week. Our defense just gave up a touchdown. Defense just gave up a touchdown to the Chiefs, and the game ended pretty much on that Travis Kelce touchdown. But previously, before that drive, Herbert led this team down the field. They scored a touchdown. Josh Palmer in the end zone. He did it last week too. So this is 2 consecutive weeks of clutch Herbert. Right when it's time to win, when it's time to put your team up, he did it. He did it, and this is the second straight week. So don't let any of the other deficiencies on this team fool you. Justin Herbert is clutch. He's made of the right stuff. This is why whatever is going on offense with all the struggles and all of this stuff, you really can't put it on him. I mean, you can criticize his play from game to game, but when you're looking at whose fault it is, who's going to step up when you need it, right? This guy is going to step up when you need it. Everything else around him, though, it fluctuates. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Most of the time this season has been bad. So we have to look at Justin Herbert and we have to say, this guy is clutch. He's made of the right stuff. He is obviously made of the right stuff. So this is what it is. This is who our quarterback is. And the only issue with this, the only real issue that I have with this is this type of performance covers up for all of the inefficiencies that the Chargers have. This goes down as a win, right? When you look back at the schedule, this is a win. It doesn't say that defense was terrible. It doesn't say that the run defense was awful, completely awful. It doesn't say any of this stuff. All it says is that this was a win. So that's the only issue that I have with this, is that this is going to cover up for a lot of the bad play, a lot of the bullshit that went on. This is going to cover up for it. I don't like that. I don't like it, but I mean, I do like a win, right? And I said that the Chargers have to get a win by hook or crook. It doesn't have to be pretty. And obviously it was not pretty at all, but they got the win. Going for 2 was a big call. You have to give Staley credit there. That's what the Chargers needed. They needed to go for 2. Going to overtime with this team who was not good, but they were running the ball well. This is, again, the 21st ranked running team in the league, the Cardinals. They were number 21. Last week, before the Chiefs game, the Chiefs were number 21. The Chargers have, in consecutive weeks, made the 21st rushing team look like the freaking 95 Cowboys in consecutive weeks. This is what the Chargers defense has done. They are not good. This is an issue. This is a problem. We can get away with wins like this against the Cardinals. This is not going to work next week against the Raiders. I don't care how bad the Raiders have played. I get it. I understand it. I don't care. This is not going to work against the Raiders, though. This is not going to work. This defense is not going to work against the Raiders next week because they can score points. That's the one thing they can do. Their defense is not good. They are heavily penalized, but they can score points and they can run the ball. That's what they can do. The Cardinals, we have to thank Cliff Kingsbury. He went away from the run. I don't know why. I have no idea why. After the first drive of the second half, the Cardinals had 162 rushing yards, I want to say. They had over 162 rushing yards with 26 minutes of game time left. 160-something yards with 26 minutes of game time left. They should have put up 250 yards rushing on the Chargers. They didn't. They only had, I think, let me see how many rushing yards did the Cardinals have. They only had 185. So after that point, they had 181 rushing yards. So they really only ran for 20 yards after the first drive in the third quarter. That is inexcusable. That's very, very, very stupid on their part. Very stupid by Cliff Kingsbury. He shows that he is not. This guy's not an NFL coach. He will be fired this year. I definitely think he'll be fired. I don't know who's going to take over, but he will be fired. They had this game in the bag. All they had to do was continue to go at what our weakness is, which is the run game, and they didn't do it. They went away from it. He got cute. I don't know why he did that. Honestly, I don't care at this point because the Chargers won. But hey, it is what it is. But this was a game that was. I mean, obviously you have to give Herbert credit, but we were in a position because we played a bad team. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression that this is going to make this team better or whatever. We played a very bad team who made very, very bad decisions in the second half. We were able to win this despite them. They turned the ball over twice. The Chargers played a clean game with no turnovers. They turned the ball over twice. And we snuck out at 1-point victory. If they don't turn the ball over twice, I don't think the Chargers win this game. I honestly don't think they're in a position to do what they did at the end of the game right there. This was a win that obviously was needed, but I think when they watch the game tape tomorrow and when they go through everything that they need to go through, they're going to see that they did not play well. They honestly really didn't play well enough to win. The last drive was obviously the main component to the win, but for the entire 60 minutes, they really did not play well enough to win. And they did not play well enough to win against a playoff team. So this is a good win, but this was not good football at all. This was not good football. And I don't know. I'm torn, right? I don't want to be the guy that's like, we still suck, but we do. Like there's no sugarcoating it. Like this was a good win, but this is not a good team. But just point blank period. This is not a good team. It's just bad. It's just bad football all the way around. And we really took advantage of the Cardinals. We took advantage of their mismanagement, their play calling, a little bit of their clock mismanagement as well too. They did not run the ball, or they didn't even try to run the ball and make us use our timeout. So we had timeouts to burn on the last drive as well too. Just bad all around by the Cardinals. Terrible. That they should be feeling bad because they should have won this game. Now they have 8 losses and their season is done. Just like I said in the video that I did the other day, they're pretty much dead in the water now. No playoffs, no nothing for them. They're going to have a new head coach next year. They might have some wholesale changes as far as personnel goes. I don't think J.J. Watt's going to be back. Maybe you look at moving maybe DeAndre Hopkins or something, but they've got to do something. They're in a position now where they should start transitioning into another philosophy because what they're doing now is not working for them. And obviously, for good reason, right? It's not working. They're losing games. They're giving games away, and I haven't watched much of the Cardinals this year, but I can imagine if they're playing like this, I can imagine how many games they gave away, because they do have enough talent to win, but they're just the play calling, the coaching, it's pretty, it's bad. It's on par with the coaching that we have. So we took advantage of their mismanagement. And hey, it's the NFL, right? This is sometimes the ball bounces this way. I'm happy that the Chargers got a win though. A few heroes today. DeAndre Carter stood tall. Yeah, he did. He played really, really well. Made very tough catches. Yeah, he played extremely well. And him and Herbert have pretty good chemistry too. So I knew that coming into camp though, because they were talking about how well he was, showing up as a receiver and stuff. And he stepped up today. He definitely stepped up. Definitely credit to him. Love going for 2 there. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You have to go for 2 there. You don't want to go into overtime because you can't stop the run. Not that the Cardinals probably would have, ran the ball, but if they got a wild hair up their ass and decided, hey, we ran the ball pretty well all game long, let's do it here in overtime, the game would have been over. The Chargers would not have been able to stop them. So yes, you obviously have to go for 2 there and secure the win, because defensively you can't trust your defense. Bad on third down again today. Bad with the run game again today. Bad. They did nothing to improve their stock defensively. They are still terrible. This is still one of the worst defenses in the league. Let's see, so much pressure on Herbert after Pip and Corey went out, but he battled 100%. Yeah, he did. And that's what I said. Every time they showed him, every time the camera panned over to him on the sideline, he wasn't moping. He wasn't, with walking around with the long face like he just lost his best friend. He's on the sideline clapping, slapping hands, right, telling everybody, let's go. Like he tried his best to keep the spirits up on the sideline. So he was really, really, really a dude that was just walking around trying to give the positivity. Let's go out there. Let's make it happen the next drive. Let's go out there. Let's make it happen the next drive. And he was doing that after he was getting sacked, after he was getting hit. So this was a Justin Herbert classic game. 100%. He deserves all of the credit. He went out there and he made it happen, and everybody else fed off of him. They fed off of him. He's not a guy that's going to yell and scream, but you can tell by his body language he was engaged, and he came up clutch again for the second week in a row. So this is a Justin Herbert classic. So you definitely have to give him credit. This was a win. This was a win because we had this quarterback, right? If we don't have this quarterback, we don't win this game. And I think it's obvious at this point. Everybody knows that. Sucks hearing all these records Herbert is achieving but not winning games. Yeah, glad both came back and won this one. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he had to get a game. Had to. Alexis, all Game Boy was getting sacked, but he pulled through. Yes, he did. Yeah. And then this one right here, yeah, damn, our social media quarterback put the team on his back. 100% on a social media game-winning drive. Yeah, I tweeted that out just a few minutes ago as well, too. This one, I got a question. Why are we still having Herbert drop back 40-plus times a game? I don't know. And that's exactly – this is my gripe with the coaching staff. This is my gripe with Brandon Staley. This is my gripe with Joe Lombardi, right? Everybody talks about, and, for the month, the 3 weeks, whatever it was, everybody was talking about all the injuries that we have. Injuries. Oh, we can't do anything because of injuries. We can't do anything because of injuries. When you have injuries, you must adjust. You must adjust your game plans. You must adjust the way that you play, right? Depending on who's injured, you have to adjust. All of these things have to adjust. The NFL is not a one size fits all league, right? Offensive football is not a one size fits all league. You have to adjust. And that's the one thing the Chargers don't do. Obviously, they don't do it on defense, but offensively, they don't adjust either, right? Without Mike Williams, they still come out and they run the same plays, right? Without Keenan Allen, they were still coming out and running the same plays. They were just having Michael Bandy, Jason Moore, Josh Palmer. They were having those guys run the same routes and try to do the same things that the Pro Bowl receivers do, right? You can't do that. You have to adjust. So if you don't have your best receivers, what do? You try to establish the run game. And that's the one thing the Chargers don't do. They did not run. They didn't run just like they always do. I think they're 31st in rushing now, right? You can't win anything being 31st in rushing in the league and not stopping the run. That's the two things that the Chargers don't do well that you have to do. Those are two staples of football. You got to stop people from running on you, and you have to run the ball yourselves. Two things the Chargers don't do, right? This is obviously why, whether or not the Chargers have a shot at the playoffs is irrelevant. This is obviously why this is not a real contending team. This is not a team that has a chance to win the Super Bowl, because they cannot run the ball and they cannot stop the run. Those are two staples, right? And I don't care how much the rules have changed and how much the game has softened and all of this type of stuff. Those two things are all you always have to do that in football. Always. You must always do that in football. And that goes back to the leather helmet days, right? If you're not stopping the run, if you're not able to run the ball, especially in situations where you need to take time off of the clock and you're able to get first downs on the ground, if you're not able to do that, you're going to struggle. Your offense is going to struggle. Your team is going to struggle. And this is where we are as fans. This team is struggling because they cannot do those two most important things. And also, those two things set the precedent. They set the physicality for your team. Your team is going to be soft if they can't do any of those things. If you can't run the ball, your offense is soft. If you can't stop the run, your defense is soft. This is where the Chargers are at. This is still a soft team. This is a soft team with a freaking all-star quarterback. That's just what it is. This is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but this team is soft. This team is soft, and they don't really have a tough identity. Their identity is not toughness. Their identity is not hit you in the mouth. Their identity is to, run around you or try to trick you or whatever and rely on Justin Herbert to make a throw, right? Make a throw, get a win, just like today. That's what our identity is. We don't scare anybody. So when you look at the schedule and you look at other teams looking at us, they're not afraid of the Chargers. Nobody is afraid of the Chargers, right? The only thing that people know that can beat them when it comes to the Chargers is Justin Herbert. Defensively, we're not going to beat you. Offensively, outside of Justin Herbert, we're not going to beat you. We're not going to run the ball. We're not going to be physical. We're not going to hit you in the mouth. We're not playing smash mouth football. We're going to come out. We're going to be soft, right? We're going to be soft in the middle on defense. We're going to be soft in the middle on offense. And we're going to leave it to our all-star quarterback to drop back 40 times and win us games. That's what our formula is right now. And when you have a quarterback as good as Justin Herbert, right, you can get 6 wins doing it. And that's the way the Chargers have gotten 6 wins doing this. But is it something that is sustainable? No. Is this coaching staff still bad? 100%. Offensively, defensively, 100%. This is still a bad coaching staff. So I don't want anybody to get any ideas that this is still not a good coaching staff, right? This team is still coached very poorly. So yes, Chargers should not be dropping back. They should be running the ball a lot more, but they don't. So honestly, it doesn't make sense at this point. But nothing has made sense this season. So you just have to resign yourself that the Chargers are not going to be good running the football, and they're not even going to try in a lot of instances. So you just have to resign yourself to that, adjust your expectations. That's pretty much what I've been saying. So let's see, we have no run game due to our bad O-line. Yeah, so we have to go screen game, quick passes to create space. But we don't do that, though, because we don't have anybody that is quick enough. The Chargers, they had, I don't know if anybody's seen it during the fourth quarter, we had 7 negative plays, 7 plays that went for negative yards. And those are a part of some of the trash plays that I was talking about with Joe Lombardi. Those are trash plays. Trash. It's trash. You can scrap them. Because we don't have a run game, we have to throw behind the line of scrimmage to guys who are slow. Now, DeAndre Carter is a little he's quicker than he is straight line speed fast, right? So, I mean, at least maybe you have a chance if you throw it to him, but a lot of the times you're asking Michael Bandy to block, you're asking Josh Palmer to block, and that's not what those guys do well, right? We don't really have a blocking receiver on this team. All these guys are out there to run routes and catch the ball. So even running those type of plays are negative plays. They're negative. They don't get anything. And they don't make up for a run game because when it comes down to it, the Chargers are just not able to run the ball. They're not able to run the ball, and they don't try to establish it. And when time, when there is a time in the game, right, second, third quarter, whatever, it's already too late to establish the run, because one negative run play is a drive killer, right? That's something that you should be doing in the first quarter, right? Because a loss of 2 yards in the first quarter on the first or second drive, it's not going to hurt you, right? But by the time you're in the second quarter, third quarter, you're down 7, 10 points, whatever. One of those negative plays, one of those negative run plays will kill you, right? You lose 3-4 yards on first down, 3-4 yards on second down. That's why you have to go away from the run and you have to start passing exclusively, because the Chargers just don't do it. They don't do it, and they don't take time to establish it. And if you don't take time to establish it, then it's not going to be established. That has to be established early. You can't just come out and think you're going to run the ball whenever you want to. If you don't have the team to do it, if you don't have that offensive line, if you don't have the tight ends, if you don't have the Chargers have the fullback, they just don't use them. But if you don't have all of the required personnel to do it, and if you don't have the play caller who's committed to it, you're not going to be able to do anything. And that's what the Chargers are. They just don't run the ball well because they don't try. And it wasn't something that they developed in camp or anything like that. They just went about their normal business and didn't develop it at all. So it's no surprise why it doesn't work here. It's no surprise why it doesn't work here. I'm not shocked by it at all. Again, I've already adjusted my expectations. I say they have to run the ball every week, and they don't do it. So I come out and expect them to not run the ball well at all, every single week. So it is what it is. Because we can't run the ball. Look at our O-line. We can run the ball. They just don't call. Joe Lombardi is detached from what's going on. I said it, and before Corey Linsley got hurt, and I said it in a video live stream that I did last week, and I pointed it out in the Chiefs game. The Chargers ran the ball pretty well last week against the Chiefs. They ran well with runs that were between the tackles, guard, center, guard. That's where they were getting the most yards. But Lombardi has this thing where he tries to keep running off tackle, and Trey Pipkins, Jamari Sawyer, that's not their specialty, right? Those are big guys with big, heavy feet. They don't get out and they don't block well in the run game, right? Especially in the zone scheme that the Chargers run. They don't get out. They're not able to get out there, especially on the outside, and shore those blocks up. They're just not able to do that, especially when you have fast linebackers crashing down. They whiff on a lot of blocks on off-tackle stuff. That's why the sweeps, the tosses, the sweeps, the counters and stuff off tackle, it doesn't work because the tackles don't get out and block anybody. So there's always free runners coming at the running back. By the time the running back has the ball in his hands, it's done. The game's done already. So, they don't do that well. But the Chargers can run the ball well. They just need to run the ball well within their strength. They can't do everything, right? They can't go run left and right and do this and that. They have to stick to in between the tackles, right? Matt Filer, Corey Linsley, Zion Johnson. That's where the strength of this offensive line is when it comes to the running game. And if the Chargers don't run, between the tackles, it's more than likely going to be a negative play. We've seen that game after game after game after game. So again, we'll look at the film again on Tuesday when it comes out, but that they just don't do it. They don't do it well, and they have no second pitch right after that. If they're not getting, runs, if they're not getting yards in the run game, right? If they're not getting yards in whatever they do, right? Off counter or pitches and all of this stuff. If they don't get yards there, they immediately go away from the run. Immediately, right? Completely forgetting that your strength is up front, right? Guard, center, guard. But they just go away from the run. Joe Lombardi he's not the coordinator that develops a run. He doesn't have that mentality. He was in New Orleans for all that time, and they ran the ball okay, but it wasn't a smash mouth running game, right? It wasn't a hit you in the mouth type of running game. He didn't develop that there. So him as an offensive coordinator, he does not have that. He doesn't have that streak in him where he says, man, we're going to go out there, we're going to knock their asses off the ball, we're going to run the ball until they stop it. That's not what he does. It's about being pretty. It's about being finesse. And that's who the Chargers are. They're a finesse team. And, finesse teams almost never, have any type of success, playoff success or whatever. Almost never, because the NFL is still a tough man league, right? It's still a league where you have these defensive linemen, you have linebackers who come out there, impose their will physically, hit you in the mouth, right? Knock you out. Even though the game is supposedly safer, you can still come out and you can still hit and you can still move guys off the ball. So if you're not able to do that, then you're going to struggle, and that's where the Chargers offense is. That's where they struggle the most. Let's see, Staley found his balls the last 2 minutes. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he has not been going for it on fourth downs at all. That 2021 Staley is out the door, and he's never coming back. It is what it is, but that was a crucial call to win this game. Why do you think the defense played as bad as they did today? Missing players? No, they just have a bad scheme. This is a bad scheme. The Chargers, it is. I have actual confirmation now, and I'm going to go over it. I'm going to go over it during the week. The Chargers are in the wrong scheme. They're in the wrong scheme. They played this 3-4, and this is not a 3-4 defense at all. This is not a 3-4 defense, and I have actual confirmation of this because the Chargers, they are, as far as gap control goes, they are the worst in the league. They're absolutely the worst in the league. And this is due to scheme, right? I don't think this is a player thing. I don't think this is a player issue. This is a scheme issue because if anybody watched the game on Thursday night, right, on Thanksgiving, watch the Patriots and the Vikings, right? If you have, and I'm going to go over, I'm going to try to go over it on Tuesday. Watch that Patriots and Vikings game and watch and see how the Patriots play the run game, right? When they're in their base defense, right? Because the Patriots, they run a 3-4 like we do, right? Obviously, Bill Belichick, Brandon Staley, right? Not in the same league. But when you look at their alignment, right? When you look at their gap control, when you look at their responsibility as far as dealing with double teams and things like that, they stop the run very, very, very well from their base defense. That's something that the Chargers cannot do. There's gaps everywhere, and I pointed it out. Several weeks ago when I was watching the Seahawks tape. How were they able to get so many yards? How were they able to gash the Chargers? And when you look at the gaps, right? When you look at, and it's normally on Khalil Mack's side. Sometimes it's on the other side as well too. But the Chargers leave a gap open, right? They leave a gap open off tackle where the running back can run through and literally get your best situation, right? The best thing that can come out of it with the way that the Chargers are lined up is a 7 or 8 yard gain on the ground. That's literally the best situation for the Chargers when they come up lined up in their natural alignment, like how they come lined up every game. Like that's your best outcome is giving up 7 to 8 yards on the ground. The Patriots don't do that. They close it in. They are tight. They're very, very tight. They close up the A and B gaps, and they make it very hard for the running back, right? They have guys who can eat double teams. Lawrence Guy, number 92, I can't remember what his name is, but I was watching some of that yesterday, and I was like, wow, okay, this is how you run a 3-4. This is how you stop. This is how you stop the run, and this is how you control gaps, right? And this is how you make running backs either bounce it outside or, they have to bounce it all the way to the other side. This takes teams out of their what they want to do, right? As far as running the ball, right? It takes teams out of it the way that the Patriots play it. The Chargers don't play it that way. I kind of want to break that down on Tuesday. I want to go over that because the Chargers they are daring teams to run the ball with the way that they come out and the way that they are aligned. And you know it because these past 2 weeks, again, the Chiefs don't like to run the ball. They're 21st in the league running the ball. They came out, they ran the ball for 163 on us. The Cardinals don't run the ball at all. They're even worse than the Chiefs as far as yards per game go. They came out, they hit us for 181 today on the ground, 181. The Chargers dare you to run the ball. They dare you to run the ball the way that they're lined up. This is an alignment issue, and this is something that Brandon Staley has not went away from at all. The only time the Chargers went away from it was when they go into that special 6-1, right? They have 4 defensive linemen, very tight, right? Playing both the A and B gaps, and then you have the 2 outside linebackers on the side. That's the only time the Chargers go away from a defense that a team can't run. That's the only time. So it is an issue. Lining up in this defense the way that it is an issue. They haven't stopped. And this has been 2 years. It's been 2 years, not just this year. This has been 2 years that the Chargers haven't stopped anybody. And I refuse to believe that these NFL players are just that bad playing the run. There's no way. Austin Johnson was not a bad run player before he got to the Chargers. Sebastian Joseph-Day was not a bad run player before he got to the Chargers. Khalil Mack was not a bad run player before he got to the Chargers, right? Joey Bosa was not a bad run player before Brandon Staley came around, right? You look at these 4 guys, and you say, okay, I've seen all these guys play the run very, very well pre-Brandon Staley, right? And in Bosa's case, before Staley came around with the Chargers. But I've seen these guys play the run very well when they were at, and in other places, other teams, other defensive coordinators. I've seen all these guys play the run very, very well. So when I look at this team now, I see, okay, this is a scheme issue. This is clearly a scheme issue. This is clearly a defensive issue. This is not a player issue. They're not constantly going out there making mistakes. They are just not put in a position to make plays. And when you watch the film, and when you look at it, and you can watch the film, I went over the Kansas City film last week. They're not in a position to make plays. The way that the Chargers were aligned last week, they were not in a position to make plays. It was up to Morgan Fox and it was up to Sebastian Joseph-Day to eat a double team and then make a play, right? Eat a double team and then make a play to a running back who's already in the hole going fast as hell, right? That is obviously very, very hard to do. That's extremely hard to do. Morgan Fox was able to do it a few times, but it's extremely hard to do. Very, 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 very bad defensive alignment. That's why the Chargers are not able to stop the run. I don't think it's the players. Honestly, don't think it's the players. Let's see. Kyle Van Noy is solid. He's better as inside linebacker. Replace Murray with Kyle Van Noy. Yeah, that's why we need a better third pass rusher. Yeah, Van Noy is better on the inside. He was better with the Patriots on the inside. That's when he made the most noise in his career when he was on the inside. Kenneth Murray is bad, man. Kenneth Murray is bad. I was holding out. I was holding out hope. I was really, really holding out hope for him. But man, he's bad. He's bad. He's not. He's not who the Chargers need right now. So they're going to have to make a move this offseason. I think he's a guy that's gone. I don't think he's going to be there next year. He's bad. He at this point right now, you can say that he is a bad player. Also, JT Woods at safety, right? This is the 3rd round pick. This guy cannot play. I'm sorry, he can't play. He's not NFL material to me. He cannot tackle at all. He is slenderly built, very, very slenderly built. You cannot play safety being that skinny. I'm sorry. He doesn't look a pound over 200 pounds to me. You cannot be that skinny and play safety. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it's not just about him weighing 200 pounds. He is slenderly built. He doesn't have a base. So when he comes up and he tries to tackle, he can't. He can't tackle. Earlier in the first quarter, I think it was on the scoring play, he came up and tried to give a shoulder to DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins bounced right off that and went into the end zone. Like, there is no, you cannot have, this is bad drafting. I don't know. I just don't know. And if, as bad as Nasir Adderley is, he doesn't tackle like that. He does not tackle like that. JT Woods cannot tackle. He can't be on the field, honestly. He honestly cannot be on the field because the Chargers, obviously, again, they don't stop the run well. So the safeties have to come up and run support a lot. This guy can't tackle. He cannot tackle. What's going to happen when he tries to come up and tackle Derrick Henry in a couple of weeks? What is going to happen? What's going to happen? He would be lucky to not leave the game in an ambulance if he tries to come up and hit Derrick Henry. That's what I'm praying. I'm hoping that he doesn't get injured trying to do that if he is playing, because that would be ugly. That would be a very, very ugly sight, a very ugly collision. This man cannot tackle. He cannot tackle. He has no base. He does not belong on this team. He honestly does not belong on this team. But he was a 3rd round pick this year. This is, again, Tom Telesco more bullshit, right? When it comes to drafting guys who cannot make an impact, drafting guys who are not ready to play, right? This guy clearly was not ready to play. If he is going to be a good player, it's not this year. And it probably won't be next year either. He probably won't come into his own maybe his 3rd or 4th year, if he is going to do that at all. But he's not a good player at this point right now. He's somebody you cannot have in the game. He's too slender. He's too skinny. The Chargers give up way too many rush yards to have guys out there who are going to throw shoulders at guys to try to stop them. You can't do it. You just cannot do it. You can't do it. It's not good. It's not good. This is a bad defense, bad defensive scheme. But when you add guys like JT Woods out there who can't tackle, who can only play in coverage and can only do one thing, you just can't. Yeah, I mean, it's just bad, man. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just bad. Let's see. I seen this one here. Yeah, this scheme only worked well with Aaron Donald and the Rams. Right, Aaron Donald. They had Aaron Donald. They had Michael Brockers as Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers. Morgan Fox played on the Rams defense as well too. So this defensive scheme worked. Obviously, you have Aaron Donald is the greatest. He's going to go down as the greatest defensive tackle of all time, right? Rushes the passer, plays the run. I mean, there's nobody like him, right? We know that. Michael Brockers, though, was really good next to him. And then obviously you have Sebastian Joseph Day was on that Rams team as well too. So they had talent up front. They had size up front. So the Rams were not giving up a lot of rushing yards like this defense is, right? Obviously. So yes, you look at the Rams team, you look and you say, oh man, Brandon Staley did a good job with that team. But you look at who they had. They had guys who were, slotted to fit this defense. And this Charger team is not slotted to fit this defense. They just don't fit. It doesn't fit. Things don't fit, and a scheme change has to come. A scheme change has to come. You cannot, if Brandon Staley comes back and runs the same defense back again next year, because everybody else is going to be back, right? J.C. Jackson, anything short of a trade, right? J.C. Jackson will be back. Kenneth Murray, he's still on his rookie deal. I know a lot of people are saying he needs to go. He's going to be back. The Chargers are either, if they can't trade him, he's going to be back. All these guys are still going to be back. You're not going to have any more money to go out and spend on defense. This is going to be, if Brandon Staley is back, this is going to be the same exact defense next year. So get ready for it. If Staley's not fired, this is going to be the same exact shit next year. And they're going to be running the same stupid scheme with the same players that don't work. So get ready for it, because the Chargers are committed. They're committed. They're pot committed to a lot of these players here. A lot of these players on defense are they have more than 1 year on their contract left. So these guys are going to be on this defense, right? They spend a lot of money this offseason. These guys are going to be here. I don't see anybody on this defense not being here. Khalil Mack, I think he has 3 years left on his deal, 2 or 3 years left on his deal. Joseph Day signed a 3-year deal. Austin Johnson signed a 3-year deal. All these guys are. J.C. Jackson signed a 5-year deal. So all these guys, they're still going to be on defense. The only thing is it might not be as talented, right? Michael Davis will probably leave. He's not going to have the opportunity to get paid with the Chargers. There's going to be guys. This defense is going to be less talented, but the same guys are going to be here, and the same scheme is going to be here. And this shit is not going to work. It's not going to work. This is the 28th game with Brandon Staley as head coach running this scheme. This defense does not work. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. There's only 6 more games left in the season, right? That's not enough time to turn this defense around and say this defense has been good. Brandon Staley's 2 years. There's not enough time left. This is a bad defense. It's going to go down as a bad defense, and there's not enough time left. There's not enough games left to change that. So we are where we are right now. So hey, this is who this defense is going to be for at least the next season, right? At least the next season. And I'm just assuming that Brandon Staley's not going to get fired. So make the transition. Thank you for the super chat. K9's missed tackle for a touchdown. Though. Yeah. They're missing tackles. They're missing tackles. They can't. They're just not in a position really to make plays, honestly. And it looks bad, and I feel sorry for them because there's no way you can mask it. It's just bad. Like, it's just bad all around game planning. It's just bad all around defense. It's just bad. Like, the only thing you can really do at this point right now is look to a scheme change, look to a coaching change, look to if there's not a coaching change, then maybe another play caller. I don't know. I don't think the play caller is going to matter, though, because the scheme sucks. It doesn't matter who's calling these plays. The scheme sucks. If you have a bad scheme, your scheme is bad. It doesn't matter who called plays. You can bring, Bill Parcells out of retirement or whatever and have him call it. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. That's not how football works. You have to have a solid scheme. Then your play calling can vary from good to great and all of that stuff. But if you don't have a solid scheme, you have no chance. And this is where the Chargers are. They have no chance defensively. Let's see. What was draft needs? Yeah, O-line, edge, wide receiver, safety, inside linebacker. Yeah, I agree with that. And tight end as well too. I think you're gonna have to draft a tight end. I don't think Gerald Everett is the answer. I had high hopes for him, but he just doesn't get open enough for me. And he's not the blocker that a tight end should be either. So if he doesn't get open enough, his hands are a little shaky as well too. And if he can't block, I think the Chargers have to address that position too. Let's see. Green Murray regressed dramatically under Staley's long scheme for him. Yeah, he would be better on a different team. I agree. I think he has too much responsibility on this team. I think the linebackers in general have too much responsibility. There's not a lot, like you cannot, and just based off of the scheme, I'm just thinking about plays that I just went over. They're asked to shed blocks and stop running backs that have 5 to 6 yards worth of steam that they've already caught. Like, you're gonna look bad, and if you come up and you don't have the right angle or you miss a tackle, right? Instead of stopping a running back for a 5-yard gain, then now he gets a 15-yard gain, right? Is that really fair on the linebacker? 5 to 6 yard gain is still not a great thing for a defense. You don't want to give that up. The Chargers give up the most yards per carry. You know this, but is it really on the line? Is it really his fault? And I'm not defending Murray at all, but I'm just saying I think the linebackers in this defense are counted on to do too much. You cannot ask your linebackers to make up for bad gap control. If you don't have gap integrity, there's no linebacker in the world that can make up for that. A running back is going to run through a wide open hole, and he's going to meet you, even if you have the biggest, baddest linebacker of all time. Even if Lawrence Taylor was playing Lawrence Taylor was playing Kenneth Murray's position, he's gonna, he might hit a guy hard as shit, but it's gonna be a 7 or 8 yard gain, right? So the gain still stands. It's still gonna be 2nd and 2, still gonna be 2nd and 3, right? You hit him hard as shit, but what did it really did it do anything schematically? Did it help the team, right? Did it help the defense stop, the running? But no, it didn't do anything. You can hit a guy as hard as you want to, right? You can have as much aggression as you want to, but if you're asking your linebackers to make up for bad, unsound, undisciplined gap control, then you're asking too much of your linebackers. Honestly, you're really, really asking too much. So again, I'm not trying to defend Murray. I think he does not shed blocks the way that he should for as big and as strong as he is. I don't think he sheds blocks very well. But at the same time, you got to understand what they're asking him to do. And to me, it's just not fair. It's not fair at all. Again, when I just mentioned the Patriots right now and their running scheme and the way that they look, right, when they stop the run, and the way that they look when they come out in their base, their 3-4 defense, they have their 3 down linemen, their 2 outside linebackers standing up. A lot of the times, Bill Belichick, they only have one natural linebacker in there, right? So it'll be one guy, one natural linebacker, Raekwon McMillan or somebody like that. Then they'll bring a DB down next to him, right? Adrian Phillips, or they'll bring a safety or somebody down. So they only have one natural linebacker in the game. So if you only have one natural linebacker in the game, if you only have 2 linebackers in the game, it's imperative for you to control the A gap. It's imperative for you to control the B gap, right? It's imperative for those guys up front, those 5 guys up front. They have to have gap control. They have to have gap integrity. So that way, when the running back gets the ball, he really has to think, okay, this A gap is not open. Should I go to this B gap, or should I try to bounce it outside? You have to make him think, right? You have to make him think. You can't just open up a hole for a running back, right? Because there's no thinking with that, right? If you're a running back and you get the ball and you see a hole that is wide open, you're obviously going to run through it. There's no thinking. You're just going to go through it, right? When guys are being pushed back, though, when you have linemen that are able to eat double teams, right, and the offensive line is not able to get a push, not as much of a push as they would like. There's kind of some standstills going on up there. Then it's up to the running back to shuffle his feet, right? Start, stop. Then you have a chance to stop him in the backfield, right? Or no gain, 1 yard gain, all of those type of things. You're able to be sound up front with gap control. Now your linebacker is able to come down, right? Scrape, hit a hole, then have a hell of a collision with the running back, right? Inside of A or B gap, 1 yard gain, 2 yard gain, whatever. Like that's what playing the run really well looks like. Right, that's what it looks like, and it starts up front. You cannot have a good running defense if you do not have gap control, and this is what the Chargers are missing. This is what they have been missing the entire Brandon Staley era. I don't know if he preaches that. I don't know if he believes in it, but to me, it doesn't seem like he does. And this is where the inexperience comes in, right? With a coach like Brandon Staley, he's inexperienced. This is his first time, obviously, being a head coach. But even before then, he had only had 6 years of experience, 6 years of NFL coaching experience. That's it. So I don't know if he thinks that you can get past having good gap control. I don't know if he thinks that you don't need that. I don't know if he thinks that Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack and Derwin James are going to make up for that. I don't know if he thinks that. I hope that he doesn't. But if he does think that, it's obviously not the truth. He's being proven wrong week after week. You have to have good gap control if you are going to stop the run. If you're not going to stop the run, if you're not focused on stopping the run, then just say that, right? Just build the defense out like that, right? Get the best DBs you can get, maybe get some pass rushers and all of that stuff, but don't come out and try to insult people's intelligence. Say, oh, we're going to stop the run better, or we've signed all these guys in free agency, and you come out and you have bad gap control. Now everybody's looking at the players like, oh, maybe these guys are not as good as we think they are. No, they still are. It's just the coaches now. And that's just what it boils down to for me. When I look at the tape, when I watch the tape every week, that's what it boils down to me. And I pointed it out several times. It's bad coaching. It's honestly bad coaching. Let's see. Shout out Apex Prowler. Thank you for the super chat. K9 and Drew both take bad angles because the DTs are always washed into them. 100%. And if you don't have good gap control, you are not going to make plays. It doesn't matter. You can have Ray Lewis at linebacker, right? If you do not have a defensive tackle, if you're running a 3-4, if you don't have a defensive tackle and two defensive ends, right? Maybe you're running a bare front, you have a defensive tackle in the 0, and both your ends are in the 3. If they don't shut down those A and B gaps, and if you don't have guys that can eat double teams, right? If there's holes, wide open holes, you have running backs running at you full speed, there's only so much you can do as a linebacker. There really is only so much you can do. That is it. There's only so much you can do. All you can do is try to hit them as hard as you can and dislodge the ball. And if that doesn't work and the guy gets loose, then now you've given up a 10, 15-yard run. But it all starts up front. And I just don't know. I just don't know if Brandon Staley realizes the importance of a defensive front. He signs all these names, and it's nice to have all these names, but if you're not going to put them in a position to succeed, you might as well just draft guys. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It really, really does not make sense for him to have all of these type of, off-season signings and make all this noise if they're going to come position where they cannot have success. It's not good. It's just not good. And the Chargers, they just don't do it. And Brandon Staley doesn't do it. Again, I don't know if he believes in the, importance of having a defensive front, but you're not going to build a good defense without it. It just doesn't happen. There's never, ever, ever, ever been a good defense in the league, a defense that's been considered good that wasn't good up front. Ever. You're never going to bypass that. You're never, ever going to bypass that. You have to have gap control. You have to have gap control. That is what it boils down to. It's what it boils down to. We know what Khalil Mack can do on the outside. We know what Bosa can do on the outside. We know what Derwin James can do. We know what all these guys can do. But if you do not have gap control, those guys are going to be in very, very, very bad positions. They're going to be in disadvantageous positions to make plays and to make a real difference. They're just not going to be in positions to make plays. And that's just what it is when it comes down to Brandon Staley and his defense. Guys are not in positions to make plays, and it is his fault. It really is. Let's see. A win today only delays the inevitable. Yeah, Staley needs to humble himself. Yeah, scrap the scheme, put players in the position of their strength. Exactly. But he's not going to do that, though. He's not going to do that. It's ego with him. It's clearly ego. For them to come out and do the same things every week that don't work, it's clearly ego. 100%. 100% ego. It's all ego. It really is. It really, really is. Let's see. Our defense is way too complicated. Yeah, you can't play fast. Yeah. Like Tony Dungy always simplified his defenses for each player so they could play fast and avoid bad instincts. Right. And it all starts up front. If you have everything going on up front, if you're able to get a push up front, if you're able to eat double teams correctly up front, have your linebackers come down, make plays, everything gets easy. Everything gets easy. It gets easy for the DBs, right? It's obviously easy for the linebackers because they know exactly where to go, right? A running back is looking for a hole. You go and meet him in the backfield, right? He's not able to get through a hole, cleanly. The hole is a little mucked up, right? He's not able to get through there. He's not able to jet through there. He's getting hugged. He's getting his jersey tugged on by the lineman. All of that. You need all of that. And you're never going to get away from that. And that's the thing. As a defensive coach, you're never going to get away from not having a good defensive front. Never in the history of the NFL has there ever been a good defense without a good defensive front, right? You don't have to have all-timers. You don't have to have Hall of Famers. But your defensive front has to make noise, and they have to be able to control gaps. A and B gaps are extremely important in this defense. Extremely important because you only have, when you're coming out in your base alignment, you only have 3 down linemen, right? You have 2 guys on the outside standing up. Controlling the gaps, eating double teams is extremely important. And if you're not gap sound and if you don't have gap integrity, you're going to give up a lot of rushing yards and your defense is going to look soft. And that's what the Chargers do. They look soft. Apparently, we only played 2 D linemen and 4 linebackers. Yeah, that's what they've been doing the past couple of weeks. They did it against Kansas City last week. That's why Kansas City hit us for 165. And again, the Cardinals hit us for 188. 181. They should have continued running the ball. There's no reason why they should not have ran the ball. Cliff Kingsbury got too cute, and that was the reason why the Chargers were able to be in the position they were in. That's really the only reason why. There's no other reason why the Chargers should have been in a position to win this game, giving up all these yards on the ground. And again, after the first drive in the third quarter, the Cardinals had 162 rushing yards. They finished the game with 181 rushing yards. What did they do? They went away from the run. Why? Don't know. Have no idea. That is where they had their success with the run, and they went away from it. And they went away from it without us even stopping it too. So that's crazy. That is a referendum on Cliff Kingsbury as a coach. This guy don't know what he's doing. He needs to go back to college to some mid-major program or something like that. I don't even think he should be at a big school. If he can't win at Texas Tech, he can't win at Oklahoma. So this dude doesn't. He's not an NFL head coach. What he's doing is not working, and I think he'll be gone. Jerry Tillery was always an undersized DT, and a 3-4 killed him instantly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because he wasn't able to eat double teams. And if you're not able to eat double teams, and if you're not able to control the gap, again, you're gonna give up a lot of rushing yards. Let's see. I like Staley, but I don't know. I hope he gets it together because I really like him as a coach and he's tough. No, he doesn't have any toughness. There is no toughness on this team. There is no toughness up front on either side of the ball. The Chargers get moved around both sides of the ball. Offensive line gets moved around, give up a lot of sacks. We're not able to establish the run. Defensive line give up a lot of run yards. So no, this is the opposite of a tough team. This is a finesse team. This is a Justin Herbert or nothing team. So that's who the Chargers are. Alexa's got it too. Yeah, Staley's not tough. Exactly. Yep, we went out and Zach says we went out and handpicked a new defense for Staley, and the numbers are identical to last year. Yeah. Yep. Ocam's Razor says it's scheme. It's 100% scheme. And the numbers, this is actually, with this performance, this is a worse defense now than what happened last year. After this game, this is a statistically a worse defense now than what it was last year. The only thing I think that is not going to reflect in is passing yards because the Cardinals only had 185 passing yards, but they turned the ball over twice and they ran for 181. So this is still going to be a bad defense. The only thing is passing yards. But passing yards, they really don't matter when you're giving up so many yards in the run, right? So many yards in the run game. If the Chargers were only giving up 85 yards in the run game, then passing yards will matter. But passing yards don't matter because who needs to pass when you play the Chargers, right? So let's see. Bring back Kaiser. They should bring back Kaiser. That should be the one move that the Chargers should make. He's only on a 1-year deal with the Eagles, but he was really good in this defense. He has roots as a safety, and I think his quickness, his first step, him being able to shed blocks, even though he was an undersized linebacker, that's missed. That's definitely missed in this defense. That's something that this defense doesn't have. The defensive coordinator who doesn't call the game is going to get fired. They're scapegoating. Right. Ronaldo Hill. Yeah. I don't know. I see a lot of people talking about fire Ronaldo Hill. He doesn't do anything. Brandon Staley calls his game. He calls the game. He calls the plays. He calls the defensive plays. I don't know what he does like during the week, right? Maybe he's in charge of game planning or something, but Brandon Staley is the one who is in control of this defense. He is essentially the defensive coordinator, even though he's the head coach. Ronaldo Hill sits in the box, and I honestly think he just calls down what he sees up there, right? If he sees something like a different type of formation or something that a defense or that an offense is in, I think he, sends the message down to Staley, and then Staley will either adjust or, look at whatever his play calling sheet is and go with the play that is, most likely to stop whatever formation it is. But Ronaldo Hill doesn't call defenses. I don't think he does really anything all week long. So yeah, he is getting scapegoated, and I don't think he does anything. It's not fair. Like, he doesn't do anything. It will be the equivalent to like Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City being scapegoated because the Chiefs' offense is struggling or whatever. And it's like, yeah, he is the offensive coordinator in name, but Andy Reid calls the plays. Andy Reid does the game planning, right? He is the guy that's into it every week, right? He is the one that is, in sync with Mahomes. It's not, Bieniemy. Like, it's not that. So that guy is just pretty much there. He's coordinator in name, and that's what Ronaldo Hill is. He's a coordinator in name, but Staley calls the plays. He calls the plays. See, a win is a win, and we got to be happy about that. But it's like you said, we have to stop the run at all costs next week against Las Vegas. And the way that they ran, let's see. I seen something saying that they had a walk off. They had a walk off touchdown. Josh Jacobs. The Raiders today ran the ball for 280. The Raiders ran for 283 rushing yards. If you're feeling good about the Raider game next week, or if you're calling it an easy game, I got news for you guys. This is not going to be an easy game. The Raiders ran for 283, and Josh Jacobs had a walk-off 86-yard touchdown in overtime. That's crazy. 283 yards. They ran for almost as many yards as they passed for. They passed for 293, and they ran for 283. Josh Jacobs had how many did Josh Jacobs had 33 attempts for 229 yards. Yeah, this is not going to be an easy game next week, right? And I hate the Raiders. I'm not a Raider fan at all, but they had 33 attempts. Now, again, do I think Josh McDaniels is a good coach? No, but this is their second win in a row, and I think Josh McDaniels is understanding they can run the ball. He had 33. Josh Jacobs had 33 attempts. They had, let's see, Josh Jacobs had 33. White had 2. Abdullah had 3. So they had 38 rushing attempts coming from their running backs. 38. They ran the ball 38 times against the Seahawks, who are defensively, they're not great, but obviously we are much worse than they are. Man. If you guys think that this is going to be a very easy game, I got news for you. And I don't think Josh McDaniels is going to go away from the run like Cliff Kingsbury did, especially if they're able to run the ball like they did this week. Things are not going to look good. Things are not good. Things are not looking good for the Chargers next week against the Raiders. I don't. If I was betting on it, I would not bet on this game at all. I would not bet on the Chargers. If somebody put a gun to my head and forced me to bet, I would have to bet the Raiders next week. That's just based off of the information that we know. Chargers give up 181 to a team that went away from the run, and the Raiders put up 283 on the ground. Ooh, man, it's not looking good. It's just not looking good. Yes, this was a good win, but damn. Next week, I'm not looking forward to next week at all. I'm really not. I'm honestly not looking forward to it. Just got home from the game. I live here in Arizona. Can't believe we pulled that out. Yeah, we're sitting around a lot of Charger fans. Decent amount of us there. As bad as I think we are, it was a nice win. Yeah, there was a lot of Charger fans too. I seen the plays got pretty loud after the 2-point conversion. That was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot of Charger fans. My wife pointed that out too. She was like, "Man, there's a lot of Charger fans there. There's a lot of cheering going on." So I think a lot of Charger fans made the trip from LA. It's only a 6-hour drive to Arizona over there. So not really surprised by that, but I'm glad there's a lot of fans there in the building. Hopefully there's a lot of fans in Vegas next week too. That would be a really, really dope thing to see a lot of Charger fans in Vegas, but we'll see. Let's see, what is that? Yeah, Dungy gave his front seven all 2 decisions, or A or B, right? If A, then this, if B, then that. 100%, exactly. And that's how it is. That's how it should be, and that's how your players are able to succeed, when they're able to just go out and make plays, right? Just go and make plays and not think about what they have to do. Just go and make plays. Let's see. Joshua Palmer is beating the wide receiver number one allegations, leaning to FS round one. Leaning to FS round one. I don't understand. I'm not quite sure I understand. I probably do, but my brain is just like all wired right now. I was convinced that this game was over in the second half, but I'll take the win. Josh Jacobs won't be a walk in the park. Hell no. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That's what I'm saying. I'm not looking forward to next week. Special teams improvement. Yeah, 100%. Special teams is doing very, very well. The rookies, the seventh round rookies, Jasir Taylor, Dean Leonard, they're really good on special teams. They have embraced it too. And they go out there, they play with pride. I like seeing that. They go out, they make plays, and they talk a lot of shit out there too. So they take pride. Like I like seeing that. I love seeing that. Those guys are very good on special teams. And the special teams improvement is definitely a thing too. Obviously, Dicker, the kicker, he's been pretty reliable since he's been with us. So special teams has been very, very good. That's always been a bugaboo for the Chargers historically, but this is a very good special teams group. I am happy with what they're doing. Let's see. I thought Kaiser was a 2. No, I think Kaiser White was a 1-year deal. I think it was 1 year, $5 million is what I believe. So he's going to be available at the end of the year, depending on what the Eagles do. I think he's going to be available. So that again, that's a move I would make for the Chargers. You know, I think they might have some space just to make maybe 1 or 2 moves in free agency after all of the contracts and stuff kick in, and you know maybe they might be able to move some money for some guys, but you're gonna have very limited space. But Kaiser White obviously is a guy that you want on your squad because he balled in every defense. He balled on the Gus Bradley defense. He balled with Brandon Staley. So he's a guy, even if the Chargers do fire Staley and get a new coach, that's a guy that I want back. So yes, definitely Kaiser White. I would definitely bring him back. Now I'll bring new fresh legs. And Kaiser White is he's established though. And those are hard players to come by, right? Those are very, very hard. Established players like that can make plays. Yeah. Jacobs just ran 229 on the Hawks. Both D better tighten up. Yeah. No, Larry, no, we got you gotta care. You gotta care. This is a team. They can come out and possibly embarrass us next week. You have to care. This means something. It means something. The way that the Chargers are not able to stop the run. The way the Chargers were not able to stop the run with the Cardinals, and the Cardinals played a very, very, very the way that their offense is, they have a college offense. They run the ball out of the shotgun so much, right? And that is, to me, that is one of the more difficult ways to get yards on the ground if you're running out of the shotgun. It was no problem against us. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. We opened up them floodgates. James Conner, you can come right, just walk right through, right? We open them floodgates up out of the shotgun. And that takes a lot of time to develop because, you know, you have your guards or your tackles. They have to get all the way around and get in front of the running back. So they have to be quick about it. There's always going to be somebody that's unblocked, right? So if the guy who is, you know, your right tackle who is blocking Khalil Mack, right? If they're running to the left side, he has to get around and he has to get in front of Connor right away. So that frees Khalil Mack to come out from the backside and possibly stop it for a loss. That didn't happen at all. It didn't happen all game long. So they were able to do what they wanted to in the run game. We did not stop it at all. That's not what the Raiders do. The Raiders come out in traditional formations. And I think, again, I don't think Josh McDaniels is a good coach, but I think he's figured something out. They come out heavy package, heavy formation. They have a fullback. The dude from he came with them from the Patriots, Jakob Johnson or whatever his name is. They go out there and they run the ball. They get in heavy, they get in I form, and they run the ball. They run the ball. They are going to make the Chargers come out and stop the run. If the Chargers come out in this 4 down lineman crap, and it's not even 4 down linemen, they have 2 down linemen with outside linebackers standing up. If the Chargers come out in that, we are going to lose. We're going to lose by multiple touchdowns. I will say this. We will lose by multiple. It doesn't matter what the offense does. We will lose by multiple touchdowns if the Chargers come out in the same formation against the Raiders. We will lose by multiple touchdowns. I know the Raiders are not a good team. I know they got 7 losses. I know it. I get it. I understand it. But if what they do, their strength is our weakness. People have to understand that. Their strength is our weakness. So if we come out doing this same shit next week, we will get embarrassed. We will be embarrassed in Vegas. 100%. We cannot come out. We cannot come out doing this shit. We cannot come out doing this shit next week at all. At all. We obviously cannot. We cannot. See, I don't care. Jacobs Raiders running 500 yards. We know they can't stop. We know we can't stop the run. Yeah, no, we can't. We can't stop it. And it doesn't just have to be Josh Jacobs either. They got a couple other running backs. They're going to get yards no matter who is out there. So, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. But this is going to be a very, very tough game coming up. So, I want to, I want to go forward and be all positive and all of this stuff. But when you look at what the Raiders have been doing, and the Raiders, you got to think about it last week too. Denver is one of the best defenses in the league. The Raiders were able to run against those guys too. That's what won them the game. They were able to run the ball. Josh Jacobs was able to run the ball. They were able to run the ball. They were able to be physical against the best defense in the league. We're looking at everything the Broncos defense has done. To me, they're the best in the league because they have been presented with so many challenges that other teams have not been presented with, right? Because their offense is so trash. But they were able to run the ball against Denver. Obviously, they were able to run the ball against Seattle. They're starting to kind of get something there, and I think they thought that they were going to be this offense that was running and gunning and kind of doing what the Chiefs do and all of this stuff. They're not. Their strength is in the running game, and Josh McDaniels understands that now. It would be very, 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 very. I think it's unlikely, but it would be very stupid of him to come out and try to run and gun against the Chargers next week, knowing what his offense just did. Right, putting up almost 300 rushing yards. It would be very stupid if they did not come out and run the ball 30 times, at least 30 times. It would be extremely stupid of them to do that. Extremely stupid. I don't expect that. I honestly don't expect that. I don't think you can run the ball for this much on the road, right? 12th man, Seattle is a tough place to play. I don't think you can run the ball for almost 300 yards in Seattle, go back home, and then air it out. That would be stupid. I'm not expecting that. If you're one of those pie in the sky Charger fans, maybe you can expect that, but there's not going to be there ain't going to be no type of respite. There's not going to be any type of rest for the Chargers. They're going to have to come out and sell out. I mean, sell the F out against the run. If they're not able to do that, then it could get ugly. It can definitely get ugly. Let's see. No pressure put on Dicker. Yeah, the 2-point conversion, which was the first of the season, could be a momentum changer to lift up the offense. Reminded me of the KC game, Rivers to Williams. Oh yeah, in 2018, possibly. But they're going to have to protect Justin Herbert better, right? And if they're not able to protect him better, then the Chargers don't run the ball. So this is going to be a very difficult thing going forward, right? This is still going to be the same. We're still going to be singing the same song after next week and potentially the other game. We're still going to be singing the damn same song. They don't run the ball. The Chargers don't run the ball. So they're not able to get another aspect of offense going. It's Justin Herbert or nothing. And then if you're going to drop back Justin Herbert 40 times, they're going to blitz. Teams are going to blitz. They're going to hit him. The Chargers are giving up sacks now, right? They gave up another 3 sacks after giving up 5 sacks last week. Teams are going to go after him, and they're going to try to come after him. So it's going to be very, 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 very easy for a defense to drop his ear, like to pin his ears back, bring blitzes, right? A, B gap. And honestly, it's up to Herbert to make throws under duress. That's how it's going to be next week, and I think that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. Because what the Cardinals did defensively, even though their defense isn't good, that is probably going to be, as far as this point right now, the Chargers, this point, that's going to be the blueprint going forward, is blitzing, and especially until Mike Williams comes back and he shows that he's 100%. Blitzing the Chargers is working. It's working because the short passing game is something that you can sit on. You can have all your DBs sit on that. So those throws are going to be way, 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 way more contested than what they normally are. Your running backs out of the backfield, right? You can bring your safety up, have your safety shade the running back out of the backfield, come up, make a tackle, right? So you're not giving up first downs. This is the way to play the Chargers. If you blitz them, if you heavily blitz them. This was a good plan by Vance Joseph. And again, this is not, the Cardinals defense is not good. And I talk about rankings and all this stuff a lot, but going forward, I don't think it matters a whole lot I really don't think it matters a whole lot when your team is comprised of Justin Herbert or Phil. I don't think it matters a whole lot as far as the rankings go because it's very easy. The Raiders will be able to put together a game plan that will put pressure on Herbert, even though they're not a good defense, right? And any other defense going forward that's not good, it's not going to be hard to put together a game plan because if you sit on short and intermediate routes, you can get pressure on the Chargers, right? You can make Herbert get rid of the ball very quickly, right? Quicker than what he wants to, or he'll just eat it and take a sack. It's very, very, very the Chargers are very simple to stop right now offensively. Extremely simple to stop. Extremely, extremely simple to stop. I honestly think I could put a game plan together that could stop the Chargers. I honestly think that. I really, really do think that because it's very as talented as Herbert is. It is difficult as hell to sit in the pocket, right? Not be able to step forward, not be able to really get anything into your throw, right? It's very, very, very simple. Blitzing the hell out of the Chargers is something that can work. As long as you have Austin Eckler out of the backfield, as long as you have somebody picking him up, it is going to work. It's going to work 60, 65% of the time. Honestly, I honestly think I can scheme something up and I can stop the Chargers offense because that's where the strength is for Herbert when he's getting blitz. Is Austin Eckler out of the backfield, right, left or right side. I am making sure I don't know whoever it is, a safety, a nickel, I'm having somebody that is shading him. So even if he does catch the ball, right, he is going to be met. He's going to be met, and whether or not he breaks a tackle, right, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to play the right defense against the Chargers. I can stop. Like I'm 100% sure that I can scheme something up to stop the Chargers. I'm sure a lot of other people can too because what they do well is so easy to stop. Right? It's very, very easy to stop. Blitzing, pressure, meet them, tackle, keep everything in front of you. You're going to get off the field as a defense. You're going to get off the field. Now, when you start doing all of this stuff, when you start dropping a bunch of guys back, and Herbert has time, he can fit tight window throws in. We know that. You don't even give him the opportunity to do it though. If you drop a bunch of guys back and you give him opportunities to complete passes, throws that that he can make, that he does all the time, right? Even Emmanuel Acho, he's a social media quarterback, right? He makes social media throws. You can do that. He can do that all game long if you give him the opportunity. But if you bring pressure in his face, if you take him off his mark, right? Make him roll out a little bit. He doesn't want to run. He can run, but he doesn't want to run. If you're making him run, if you have him on the run, then basically you're doing something good as an offense, right? I mean, as a defense, you're doing something good. Even if you give up 10, 15 yards, whatever on the run, you're doing something good. That means he's uncomfortable in the pocket. And Herbert is great from the pocket, especially when he's comfortable. If you make Herbert uncomfortable from the pocket, that is honestly the recipe to stop the Chargers offense. It just is. It just is. And as a Charger fan, I get it and I understand it, but it's not hard for bad defenses right now. And that's my point. It's not hard for bad defenses who are ranked low, to put a one game plan together that can really screw the Chargers offense up. That's very, very, very simple. The Raiders D coordinator can do that. Whoever else we play, anybody else's D coordinator can do it. Titans D coordinator can do it. The Dolphins D coordinator can do it. It's very simple. You sit on the short routes, you make sure you identify where Austin Eckler is, and you create pressure, and you make the pocket very, very messy as you possibly can. Because at that point, if you're doing that successfully, what else do the Chargers have to go to? They don't have a run game to go to, right? They're going to continue to try to go short pass, short pass, short pass. If you do that successfully, you are going to stifle the entire Charger offense because they're not going to run the ball. They're not going to run the ball, especially if they get down by 7 points, 10 points. We went away from the run completely. We're down by 10 points. What was it in the first quarter or whatever it was? And the Chargers, they completely just abandoned the run. They abandoned it completely, 100% abandoned it. That's what they do. That's what we do. So it's not hard. That's why all of these tweets and all of this stuff about, people looking at the schedule and talking about easy games and all of this shit. But there's no easy games. There's no easy games. Bad defensive coordinators can come up with a plan to stop the Chargers right now. And if I was in the NFL, I think I would be if I was a defensive coordinator in the NFL, I think I would be a bad one, right? I don't think I would be great. I'm not saying I'm great or I have a great defensive mind and all that stuff. I would be a bad defensive coordinator, but playing this team, would make me look good because I can come up with something very, very easy to stop this team. They don't do anything well, and they don't have speed either. So you know you're not going to get hit over the top. They don't have speed. If you have speed on defense, you're good. If you have fast corners, if you have fast safeties, you're good. You're not going to get beat deep. So now you just have to play that small stuff, and you have to stop Herbert. You have to make him get out of the pocket. You have to make him uncomfortable. You have to hit him. And once you do that successfully, you are going to be on the path to winning the ball game. That's just what it is. So, as far as the easy games go, you know, it's not there. It's not there because the Chargers, again, they don't run the ball. They don't run the ball. So it's very easy to stop them. They don't run the ball and they don't have any speed demons who Herbert is throwing the ball to. So it is what it is at this point. But don't look at the records of these teams. Don't look at the rankings of these defensive teams. It's easy to stop this offense. It's very easy to stop this offense. The Cardinals almost did it. They almost did it. They were one bad drive away from doing it. And even the last drive, they didn't pressure Herbert. They went back and they dropped back. They played coverage. And that's what you don't do against Herbert because he is accurate. He can sit back there and he can throw the ball. Easy. He can do that in his sleep. So they still didn't pressure Herbert on that drive. So they made it easy for him. So they were getting pressure on him every other drive before. The drive, the second to the last drive the Chargers had, they sacked him for a huge loss. They brought the house on a third down. They brought the house. It was 4th and 20 after that. That's what they did. They muddied the pocket. Herbert had to eat it, and he took a huge loss. Now, the following drive, it's 2-minute drill. They didn't bring pressure. They possibly don't trust their DBs in one-on-one coverage. Okay, I get it, but if you don't bring pressure against Herbert, he's probably going to make you pay, right? Anything short of getting the ball batted down or whatever, he's going to make you pay. So I think everybody knows this. The book is out on the Chargers. You have to get pressure on them. You have to get pressure on Herbert. That's the thing. Blitz. The Chargers are going to continue to see blitzes. These next 6 games, they're probably going to get blitzed the most in the NFL. And I once the season ends, I'm going to check on PFF, but they're going to see the most blitzing because they have no run game. They have nothing else to go to. Short passing game is irrelevant. It doesn't really do anything, right? It can maybe get a first down here or there, but it's not going to kill you. It's not going to beat you. If you're a defensive coordinator, you're not thinking that, oh, this is going to beat me, right? You have to take your chances. You have to bring the house. You have to pressure the shit out of the quarterback. And if you do that, you're going to be able to be successful against this Charger team. So that's what I'm saying, man. This is not, yes, this is a great win, but going forward, man, the path is still very, very hard. It's still extremely hard. People can be as positive as they want to. This is going to be a hard road here. And considering that the Bengals won and that the Ravens lost, those teams are tied now. No, they're not tied, but the Ravens hold the tiebreaker, but they're both in the same conference, the same division with the same record, right? So if they both continue to win, and I don't know, maybe if the Ravens lose one more and the Bengals win another one, the Bengals are first place in the AFC North, right? So at that point, Baltimore is going to be a wild card team. And then if you look at Baltimore's schedule going forward, they don't have that tough of a schedule going forward. So again, the Chargers must continue to win to keep pace. The Jets won again today too, so they are comfortable in that 6th space. But this might come down if the Chargers lose a game. Lose a game or 2. This might come down to Baltimore and Cincinnati. It could come down to those 2 teams. But even the Patriots are still alive as well too. So that's something to take into account as well. We need to be balanced on offense. Pass, run, pass, run. Yeah. They're very, like I said, it's predictable. Things are predictable. Everybody knows what the Chargers are going to do. So, like I said, it would not be hard to come up with a game plan to stop the Chargers. Anybody can do that. I think if you watch a lot of Charger football, you know this team, you understand what the weakness of this team is, right? There's many weaknesses, but you understand what the strength of this team is, and you understand what the weakness is. And you understand that there are far more weaknesses than there are strengths on this team. So when it comes to that, you have to really go balls to the wall and take a chance. That's what I think the Raiders are going to do. I think they're going to blitz the shit out of us next week. And whether or not, the Chargers can pick it up and whether or not they can make plays down the field, right, in one-on-one, Keenan Allen, maybe Mike Williams is back next week. I think that can change things. If they're going to blitz the shit out of everybody, I'm looking at Mike Williams. I'm looking at him at one-on-one because I know he's the guy that can take the top off the defense. I think he is probably just in straight line speed. He's the fastest receiver that we have, but he can take the top off of a defense if given the opportunity. If that happens, if that doesn't happen, then it's easy, very easy to stop the Chargers. And I'm going to be interested to see how this game plays out next week. See, Air Coryell was based on a high-powered offense to compensate for an average defense. Yeah, we should just roll with that. But it's Air Coryell too was a lot of it was based around having a good offensive line and having good protection, on the offensive line. That's what that was based around. But this is the great value version of the Air Coryell. So there's just no deep down the field concepts, but the way the Chargers play right now is similar to it, except it's just a lot of underneath stick route shit. This is supposed to be like an offshoot. This is the Sean Payton offense. Sean Payton has roots in West Coast offense, and he did have a lot of those concepts when he coached the Saints and when he was with Breeze. And we're supposedly running this offense now with Joe Lombardi, but there's no West Coast offense roots. This is just a kind of backyard playground type of offense that the Chargers are running. There's no West Coast offensive roots. There's no concepts. There's no philosophy that this offense has that says we need to do this in order to score points, right? It's just, can Herbert make these throws down the field? Can Herbert make these throws? Can the offensive line hold up good enough for Herbert to make a throw? That's not a philosophy. That's just relying on a player to do something. And again, this is what I talked about a long time ago with Lombardi. There's no philosophy here. It's just Herbert or die. And that's pretty much where we're at offensively. That's what I'm saying. It's so easy to defend the Chargers. Extremely easy. Let's see. Oh, a free safety round one, but honestly, give me another OT and move Sawyer to left guard. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, Sawyer has to be inside because he's starting to be exposed a little bit on the outside. He struggles against a lot of the speed guys. Not necessarily the speed guys, but he struggles against like ends who have a lot of moves. And JJ Watt, when he got the sack early, like he has a lot of moves. So I think a lot of the veteran guys, the ones who are experienced, they are able to get him off his mark, especially if they rush upfield and then they're able to swim move or spin or whatever. They kind of get him off balance, and he's getting exposed a little bit. He's still doing a good job at left tackle, but he's getting exposed just a little bit. The Chargers need to help him out more in play calling. Those short screen passes are excruciating to watch 100%. Those are trash plays, negative plays. Again, those are plays that you can come out, snap the ball, take a knee, and those plays statistically are better than the screen passes. They will come out and a kneel down would lose you less yards than those plays that Lombardi calls. The behind, the line of scrimmage plays. Like those are just terrible play calls. But they happen multiple times a game, and I don't know why, because they never work. So, yes, short screen passes usually work for other teams. Yeah, but other teams normally have speed out there, so it's teams are not necessarily looking for it. So you're able to hit those guys, with a surprise at some point, right? You have a receiver who's able to gain 10 to 12 yards off of a screen. The Chargers don't really have that. They really don't have that. Once a guy catches the ball and his feet are flat and he's not really going anywhere. He can't really run away from anybody. DeAndre Carter is maybe the closest guy that can do it, but even him, right, in space, he's kind of small, and once the safeties and linebackers read it, they're get a head start, and he's not going anywhere either. So see what happens. Hope Lindsey plays next week too. Yeah. We need him. Yeah, Will Clapp is not a great center. He is a backup by he's a backup by trade. So and we've seen that. We've seen it in the Denver game as well too. Some in New York City quarterback White is a good backup for a few weeks. It just probably won't make the playoffs. I mean, whether or not they make the playoffs is I don't honestly don't think it's if they keep winning, right? They already have 8 wins now. They have 8 wins. If they win one more game, they get to 9 wins. They're gonna put pressure on. Are the Chargers gonna get to 9 wins? We don't know. We can't say for sure if they are gonna get to 9 wins, but the Jets are winning, and if they just continue to win and continue to compete and make it close, they're going to be in pretty good. They're going to be sitting in pretty good territory for the most part. They were able to get production out of the quarterback position. They have a very good defense, so they don't need their quarterback to be great. They just need a guy who's not going to come over, who's not going to turn the ball over, who's not going to be careless, and who's going to hit open receivers. If they find a guy to do that, I think they will make the playoffs. They're at 8 wins now, so unless they have a total meltdown and collapse, I think the Jets are going to be in the playoff mix. Honestly, do. If you make any quarterback uncomfortable in the get, but yeah, there's no easy games. Yeah, as far as the blitzing situation, there's no damn starters in the line, so of course it's bad. Yeah, but again, you have to be able to run the ball. If you're not able to run the ball, it's just no. And then there's really no excuse for not running the ball either. Like we seen the Raiders have, I think they have the worst offensive line in. Well, I don't want to say the worst because I haven't really watched Carolina or any of the teams who were shitty like Houston or whatever. Like I haven't really watched them. Right, they for obvious reasons. Right, they suck. Uh, I think the Raiders are the worst O line that I have seen this season. But when you see what they're doing in the run game, they have guys that are able to get off in the run game. Jermaine Illuminor, number 72, he is trash. I think their center kind of sucks too. I can't remember the dude's name. Is it James, Andre James, whatever? They have mediocrity along the offensive line. Right tackle is always a worry for them. They have that rookie Mumford. He's not very good. They're I think they're the most penalized offensive line as well too. They get a lot of holding calls. They get a lot of man down field calls. The Raiders offensive line has not been good by any stretch of the imagination. But when you look at what they are doing in the run game, you don't need to be the most talented person on the offensive line to run block. You don't need that. All you need is 5 guys up there to jail. All you need is them to do is get a hat on the hat and jail, and you're going to be able to run the ball. That's what the Chargers don't do. And to me, that is the most embarrassing thing because if you go and you look at, you just line up right from right tackle all the way to left tackle, and you line up the Raiders offensive line and the Chargers offensive line. You're gonna say there's more good players on the Chargers offensive line than there is on the Raiders offensive line. If you just go left to right from all 5 guys. So to me, there's really no excuse. There's really no excuse for the Chargers to not be running the ball. This is a philosophy thing, and this is a softness thing. Brandon Staley is soft. This coaching staff is soft. The offensive coaching staff is soft. Defense is soft. Everybody is soft. Everybody is soft. And that's just what it is. Like you're not able to attack in the run game. And that's the major thing. You have to attack. You have to be able to move a guy. And that's what running the ball is. Moving a motherfucker against his will. I am coming at you, right? We're running the ball. I'm coming at you, right? I'm in a 3-point stance. I'm coming at you. You're coming at me, but I am big. You don't want to move out of the way. I'm still going to move your big ass out the way. In the mindset, if you don't have the mindset to run the ball, then that's what the run game looks like for the Chargers. It is about the mindset. It is about calling run plays, telling your offensive line to be aggressive. Go out there, be aggressive. Try to knock somebody the fuck out. And if you're not doing that, then you're soft. And that's what the Chargers run game is. It is soft. Joe Lombardi does not run the ball. The Chargers don't run the ball. Brandon Staley does not make Joe Lombardi call run plays. Therefore, nobody in the Chargers organization, as far as the coaches go, give a shit about the run. They don't give a shit about the run. Again, the Raiders don't have a good offensive line. When you look at all 5 guys, even when you look at their backups, they don't have a good offensive line. Their best offensive lineman, even by rating, by PFF rating and all that stuff, he got hurt earlier in the year. He got hurt in training camp. They had to trade him. They didn't trade him. They put him on IR. They traded Leatherwood, the guy that they drafted last year in the first round. They traded him because he wasn't good. And, a lot of people were like, oh, why'd they trade him? The Raiders now have the worst offensive line. They put up almost 300 yards on the Seahawks. And Seattle today with the run game. That is hard. That's hard to do. Very, very, very hard to do. So the Raiders are back to playing Raider football. This is the type of football the Raiders played in the 80s with this type of run game right here. And they're going to come out. They know the Chargers don't stop the run. So again, this could get ugly next week. It could get ugly. If there is not a plan in place to stop any of this, this could get ugly. The Chargers do not. They do not. They don't run the ball well. They are soft. They're soft on the defensive line. They give up a bunch of rushing yards. They're soft. It's just not. It's not going to. Things are not going to be pretty next week. And I it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Jim Harbaugh will solve this issue. Yeah, the cancer still lies within the Spanos. Those are facts. Yeah, and that's why I've been saying Jim Harbaugh will solve this issue. If anybody watches college football and you've seen Michigan, Ohio State, right? This is the biggest rivalry in college football. If you've seen what Michigan did, Michigan beat the dog shit out of Ohio State, and they beat them up physically, and they beat them up at home, and they beat them up in the horseshoe with the 100,000 crazy Ohio State fans screaming. They beat the shit out of Ohio State because Ohio State is a finesse team and Michigan is a dog team. Michigan is a dog team. Michigan can play that type of football anywhere, anytime, under any conditions. It could be snowing, sunshine, rain. They could play on the fucking moon, whatever, because Michigan plays hard-nosed, tough-ass football. I'm going to fuck you up. You know what's coming, but I'm still going to fuck you up. And then once I'm done fucking you up, you're going to thank me for the opportunity. You're going to thank me for the opportunity of me fucking you up. That's the type of football they play. They play tough, hard-nosed football. They are not fucking around out there. They are going to move you out of the way, and they are going to get what they're going to get. And there's nothing that you can do that's going to stop them. Ain't no shit talk you can do. Ain't nothing. Their offensive line goes out there and they move people around against their will. And it is the most beautiful shit that I've ever seen. They were heavy underdogs to Ohio State. I think they were 11-point underdogs. That's a huge spread from the second team in the nation to the third team in the nation, right? They're 2 and 3. They're right behind each other. Ohio State was still favored by 11. They beat the dog shit out of them. They were able to physically dominate. They put up 250 rushing yards in a half. They ran the shit out of Ohio State. Ohio State, they beat them so bad they made them quit. They made them quit. I seen the game with a minute or something. They were done. Ohio State wanted no more of that. They wanted no more of that. That's the type of football that wins. That type of football won championships in the 70s, and they can win championships now. That's the type of shit that doesn't go out of style. Toughness, knocking motherfuckers around, hitting people in the mouth never, ever goes out of style. That's what I love about football. Like NBA, I am an NBA fan. I love basketball, but you can't play the same style of basketball that you played in the 70s, right? They won't allow that shit. Hell, they'll kick you out of the game for it. Football, yes, they've done things and concussions and all of this stuff, and they've had bad PR and all of this type of stuff, but you can play. You can play smash mouth football now. You can still play smash mouth football because there's no protection against you getting your ass driven into the ground, right? If you're coming up and you're blitzing, there's no protections against that. There's no you can get your ass driven into the ground, and it can happen play after play after play after play after play after play. The ref is not going to throw a flag. Nobody's going to stop it. You're just going to get your ass driven into the ground every single time by a big, mean, nasty offensive lineman who's in a pissed off mood. That's what's going to happen. That's what could happen every single time. So that's what I'm saying. I want Jim Harbaugh, and I tweeted out earlier. Jim Harbaugh, his buyout is only $3 million after this year. So if Michigan, if they get upset in the college football playoff or whatever, and he's still looking around, maybe looking for a NFL job, his buyout's only $3 million. That's nothing. There are teams, a bunch of teams who would pay that. A bunch of teams who would pay that. $3 million, that's it. Oh, you're out of here. Now you can come into whatever team, right? Bring your program in, bring your smash mouth football program in, and let's play big boy football. Easy. That's very, very, very doable for a lot of people. So Jim Harbaugh, I'm telling you, he's a name to watch for. He's got roots with the Chargers. He made it known that he still wants to do the NFL thing. He still wants to do the NFL thing. So a name. That's a name to watch out for. It's a name. Just saying. Thanks for the podcast. You're doing a great job for us. We're listening on Partners Got Charger fans. Yeah, wish the Bolts luck and good health next week. Yeah. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate you for rocking with me. Really, really appreciate it. Let's see. I seen one here about JT Woods. What's the observation so far about JT Woods? He's not good. He can't play. He is not a. He's not a. He's not a. To me, he's not an NFL player, man. He's not an NFL player. He's just. I don't know. Maybe he can have some. If he's not going to get his body right the way NFL safety should look, maybe he could play corner. But I don't. As far as him being the safety on this team that gives up all these rushing yards, I just don't think that he can. I don't think that he can. I honestly don't think he can make a difference. Maybe in coverage or something. Maybe it's something that I'm missing. But damn, he can't tackle at all. He is very slender. And again, when it comes to playing these teams with these really tough running backs, like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. I don't want to see. You want to see JT Woods go head up against Josh? I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I really don't. It's gonna look like a Mack truck hitting a baby deer or something. It's going to be a hell of a collision. This guy can't tackle. He can't tackle. You can't be on the field. You can't be playing on this Charger defense and not tackle. They give up way too many running yards. They get dominated on the ground far too often for a guy to be out there who can't tackle. You have to be able to tackle. That is the number one thing for any type of defensive player, pretty much at any level. You got to be able to tackle. If you're not able to tackle, you don't belong in the field. Doesn't matter how well you cover. Doesn't matter how smart you are or whatever. If you're not able to tackle, you can't be out on the football field. So I think that's my observation of him so far. If he comes out next year and he's a little bigger and he's stronger, he built a base, right? He was in the lab all summer long, right? Getting stronger, working on his squats, right? Getting his hamstrings right, getting his quads right, making sure his ass gets bigger, getting thicker around the waist and all that stuff. If he's able to do that, then okay, we'll see what he's able to do. But if he comes out here just the way that he is right now, I don't think that's somebody that can make a difference for this team. Honestly, I really don't. I don't care how fast he is. I don't care, again, what he does in coverage, but you got to be able to tackle. You can't be playing on a bad rushing defense and not be able to tackle, because all that's going to do is just add to the problems that the Chargers already have. So, it's a shame that he was a third round pick. I thought maybe, the Chargers could have went somewhere else. Even if you're going to draft the same position, maybe somebody else. But that pick is not looking very good right now. Right now, just at this point, maybe he has something I'm missing, but I don't see it. So let's see. Manny said, "When does Raider hate week start?" I guess he's I guess now, but I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to be talking as much shit as I did week one. Now that I know what the Raiders are capable of in the run game, now that they know what they're capable of in the run game these past 2 weeks. Again, this is a tale of two totally different teams coming in. The Raiders are after the meltdown against Indy, they put it together last week against Denver, even though we know what Denver is. But defensively, Denver's good, but I don't know, man. It's I don't know. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough one. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what this team is made of next week. Yeah, because Raider, as much as I hate to admit it, Raider football is back. Raider football is back, and again, this is why I thought I can have a successful channel. This is why I thought people would watch. I'm not saying everybody would agree with what I'm saying, but this is why people would watch me and really, take to what I'm saying, is because I'm objective. And if you see what the Raiders are doing now, if you see what they've done these past 2 weeks, this shit is not going to be. This shit is not going to be. And say what you will about Derek Carr and all this stuff. They the way that they're playing now, they don't need Derek Carr to do anything. They need Derek Carr to be Jimmy Garoppolo. Honestly, go out there, throw 12 passes, right? Go out there, go 9 for 12 for 100 yards, right? Maybe a touchdown or whatever in the red zone. And then the running game is going to handle the rest of it. It sets their team up in a very, very good position. They look good. I seen what did Optimus Rhyme say? Josh Jacobs making everyone forget about Devontae Adams. Pretty much, Devontae Adams, he only had. I'm looking at the stats here. He had 7 receptions for 77 yards. I mean, that's good. It's not a bad game, but that's not a super dominant game, right? It's not somebody who is just on fire, right? 7 receptions for 74 yards. It's only 10 yards of reception, so it's not like he was getting loose and causing havoc everywhere. Those depending on how many of those receptions were on third down, right? Some of them might be killers. If 2 or 3 of them came on third down, then yes, the impact is there. But just as far as the numbers go, that's far below what you expect from Devontae Adams, right? You expect for him to get 100 yards easy every game, right? That's doable for him. So holding him to 74 yards is a pretty damn good job, I think I would say, by the Seahawks. Josh Jacobs, though, is the guy that you got to watch for. He's the guy they got to watch for. They are doing what nobody thought that they would do. Josh McDaniels, again, you have to give him credit. This is why, again, that's why I thought I could have a good channel, because I'm objective. This is, I hate the Raiders. I do. I hate the Raiders, but you have to point out when the team is doing well. And at this point right now, they're doing well. Again, we know the record. The record isn't great. I think they are now, after this game, let's see, what are they? They are I think they're 5-7. Or the Raiders are 5-7 after this game, if I'm looking at this correctly. No, the Raiders are 4-7 now. So the Raiders are 4-7. Obviously, they have not had a great year. They've lost a lot of games. Just haven't played well, right? Really, both sides of the ball. But if you look at this objectively and you look at their last 2 games, they're running the ball well. Again, today they had 283 yards against the Seahawks. Over there, right in Seattle, 12th man, all of that stuff. You take all that into account. Very, very, very tough to do. Very tough to do, even with the team that is not like super great. The old Legion of Boom, it's still tough to do that over there. Then you look at what they did last week against the Broncos. They had over 100 yards against the Broncos, and the Broncos are one of the stingiest defenses in the league. So the Raiders are running the ball very well. Over the past 2 weeks, right? You can say they've had 392 yards, rushing yards. The Raiders have ran 392 rushing yards the past 2 weeks. It's going to be tough. And for the Chargers, who give up 5.5 yards per carry, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, especially if the Raiders get into their minds that we're going to run the ball. We don't give a shit. We don't care if you stop us one time or whatever. If they get it into their minds that they're going to run the ball, it can get ugly for the Chargers. So that's just all I'm saying. I'm being objective. So, again, I'm not going to talk as much shit as I did week 1, because I know what this team is capable of. The Raiders figured out that using their fullback every play will bring good things. Right. And they have a fullback, Jakob Johnson. He is, I think, the best blocking fullback. He looks to be the biggest blocking fullback too. They're able to really establish some physicality there. So again, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Chargers versus Raiders is a 50-50 game. Josh Jacobs is having a great year. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I guess obviously every game is 50-50, right? One team has to win. So I just don't like, again, I don't think it's technically, yes, it is a 50-50 game, but when you're looking at what the Raiders are doing well and what the Chargers are doing bad, those two things are on opposite ends. They run the ball very well. We stop the ball very bad. So something's going to have to give, right? The Raiders are either going to continue running the ball well, and we're going to continue not stopping the run, or maybe we stop the run a little bit and they're going to not run the ball as well. But something's going to give here. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm not talking as much shit as I did week 1. Definitely not. I can't. With the Raiders looking the way that they have looked the past couple of weeks, I just can't. It would be stupid of me. And again, I'm a Charger fan, but I am an objective watcher of football. So we will see. We will see what happens. But yeah, been on for about an hour and 45, so I'm gonna go ahead and start to sign off now, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This post game reaction, I guess you can say. Crazy as Raiders didn't pick up Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option. Yeah, they didn't, and now now they're going to be in a position to possibly lose him. I think Josh Jacobs is going to get paid. He's going to get paid somewhere. I don't know if the Raiders are going to pony up the money, but I think he's going to get paid somewhere. Yeah, they should have picked up his option. I thought that they were going to trade him, and he was like, there was a possibility he could get cut too. He was playing in the first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game. All the other starters were out. This guy was playing. I was like, damn, they really want to trade him or showcase him or whatever. And turns out that he's having the best season, I think, of any running back so far. He's having a hell of a season. So gotta give him that. Larry, what's up with the digits though? Are you trying to get Alexis's digits, Larry? Are you shooting your shot here in this chat, sir? What's up, Larry? You trying to shoot this shit? Come on, man. You trying to shoot your shot in the chat? That's hilarious. I see you guys going back and forth all the time. Larry has been trying to shoot a shot. You've been trying to shoot your shot for a while too, huh? That's crazy. That's funny though. Let's see. Optimus Rhyme says that Chargers don't play to their strengths. Raiders are starting to. Going to be interesting. Yes, 100%. So, yeah, I think it could be again. I think it's going to come down to a Justin Herbert game. If he has a great game, then the Chargers are in it. If the game is not great, if he's not great statistically, again, this could be something that is, if the Chargers if they come out with the same stuff, like I said, I think the Raiders beat us by multiple touchdowns. Because it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to stop it. It's going to be very, very hard to stop it. Very, very, very hard. And if you're bringing down Derwin James in the box and you have one-on-ones, Devontae Adams is going to be open. Mac Hollins is going to be open. They don't have Waller and Renfro, but they're going to have open receivers down the field. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to be signing off now. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Really, really appreciate it. And hope you guys have a rest of a good weekend. But signing off now. Thank you guys. And until next time.